Hey there, friend. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another episode of the W2 Prison Break Show. I had some thoughts I wanted to share with you today. I was actually visiting with my counselor the other day, and yes, I've been seeing a counselor for the past almost 5 years now. Excuse me, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a sign of weakness. In my opinion, it's a sign of strength. It's something that is a big part of my life, and it's helped me out tremendously. And we were reflecting on how quickly your life can change. Years may seem like a long time, but it really does go by fast. And we were talking about how much how much my life has changed in the last 3 to 4 years, and he actually was helping me to make me understand that, hey, you're a different person when you came in here 4 or 5 years ago. And sometimes you need that reminder. That's one of the gifts of counseling and talking to a therapist and being able to get an outside, unbiased opinion and view of you, someone that you, especially someone that you trust. And we have this intimacy and this trust relationship, and we've given each other the space to allow for that in our lives. And it's been one of the greatest gifts in my life. And I would encourage you, if that's something that you're feeling a little on the fence with, give it a try. I mean, it really can be life changing. But we talked about how much different my life is now, and I've talked about that on this show multiple times. And I wanted to share with you today some of the things that I did to change. Right, it's been a lot, but I'm going to give you 5 things today. The top 5 things that I did over the last 3 to 4 years to really change my life, because I was in a position several years ago where I hated my job. I was really unhappy. I just hated my life. Now let me just back up there. I not hated my life in terms of, I wanted out of my house and I didn't want to have my family. I loved my family. I've always loved my family. I just wasn't fulfilled, and I wasn't happy with my job, and I wasn't happy with the amount of time that I was spending with them because I was gone all the time. And I was happy that I was unhappy that I wasn't going after my dreams, which really filled me up with resentment and regret for a long time. And the first thing that I did to really change my life, and this is really the most important thing, was that I surrendered to the fact that I did not know everything and that I needed help. I had lived most of my life thinking that I had it all figured out. I didn't need anybody's help. And that was really my download. Like, I saw that from my father. I saw that from my grandfather. And that was very present in our home growing up. Again, nothing wrong with that, but that was my download, right? And I noticed that, hey, there's nothing ever bothers this guy, right? Like, meanwhile, in the background, a lot of stuff was bothering him. And the same thing happened to me as well, because I chose to shove everything down and push everything down and not deal with it, not deal with the fact that I didn't know the answer, that I needed help because of my ego. And as men, our ego gets in the way and it prevents us. It really does hold us back. Having a big, massive ego is just not something that's beneficial, right? Especially if you're using it in the wrong way. Like, you have to be able to accept help. This is human nature. Like, we need each other. We need to, this is why we use the word team, right? We can't do it all alone. So we have to have that ability to surrender to the fact that we don't know it all and we need help. Big thing for me. And I got myself around people who could help me. Again, the counselor. I wanted to leave my job. I wanted to be a real estate investor. I got a coach. I got around people who could help me get there, because I had been trying it this particular way for so long and it didn't work. And a long time, 20 plus years, I was trying to leave my job and I couldn't do it. So as a result of getting around the right people and getting in the right rooms, I was able to make some pretty big changes. and a short amount of time, which is really what being in the right room and being around coaches and mentors can do for you. Is you can shorten your time frame because they've done it, they know how to do it, so you don't have to figure it all out on your own. So that's step one, is to surrender to the fact that you don't know everything. The other thing that I did, the second thing that I did, was you have to decide, you have to make a decision that you want your life to change. Okay, are you going to tolerate your life now the way it is, or are you going to do something about it? Do you want to change your life? And I made that decision. It took a long time to get to that point, and I remember the moment vividly. And I told my wife, and I was really kind of had it up to here, if you will. If you're not watching, I'm up to the top of my head here. And I told her, I said, look, I'm no longer going to let my self-limiting beliefs and my fears and doubts run my life anymore. I'm just done with it. And I made a decision right then and there. I had her support, and I went and I hired a coach, I think either that day or the next day. So I made a decision to change my life, and I took action right after that. But I said it out loud too. Instead of it just floating around in my head, I shared it with somebody. So I have my wife holding me accountable, like the person that I trust the most in this world is holding me accountable for this because I announced it to her. So that was really step number 2. The third thing I did, and again, I had help with this, so coaches, my counselor, books, reading, educating, was I crafted an ideal vision for my life, okay? And I would encourage you to do this, and not just have it floating around in your head, is to get it down on paper. What does your ideal life look like? And I want you to forget about how you're going to get there. Okay? This is your dream. This is your ideal life. You write it out in great detail. You can start with you writing out your ideal day. There's a great book that I read by Jairek Robbins, Tony Robbins' son. It's called Live It. And I'll leave a link in the show notes. It's an awesome book. And he encourages you to write out your ideal day in great detail. Meaning, where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? How old are you? What are the smells? What are the sounds? What are you eating? Run through when you wake up to the end of the day, your ideal day, and put no limitations on it. And don't worry about the how. And then, so you write it out, you write out the ideal day, and then you read it. You read it out loud every single day. And you'll start to manifest, though that the how will work itself out. But go through the exercise of designing your ideal life, and then from your ideal day, and then from there you can start to design your ideal life vision. Okay, and once you have that done, again, write it out. Okay, this is what I want to do, right? I want to be a business owner, or I want to be, a millionaire, or I want to be a billionaire, or whatever it is for you. I want to help people in this particular business. Whatever that looks like for you, write it out in great detail. Okay, then now you go and you surround yourself with people who are in that position right now. Okay, and you ask for their help, whether you're hiring them or you find somebody to mentor you. You get around those folks who have done it before or who are doing it now. That's probably even more beneficial, doing it now and didn't do it 10 years ago. You want to make sure that it's relevant. And that's your third step, is they're going to help you get to your vision that you've clearly written out. And I would give them that vision as well. All right. Step number 4 that I took was to get to that vision, right? To get to that vision that you have, was you focus on being as present as possible. You want to stack a bunch of good days together, as many as you can, versus, wow, I've got this really big life vision, this really big goal that I've written out. How the heck am I ever going to get there? because it can seem daunting. You know, if you're making $50,000 a year and you have a goal to make 10 million or even a million or even 100,000, that can seem pretty daunting, right? So we have to look at breaking it down by a series of small wins day by day, stacking days together. I love sports references because they're always, whenever you hear, if you ever watch NFL interviews, players, coaches, like across the league, to the point where you would think that, it's being scripted out, because it is. They're always focused on the next move, which is, we got practice tomorrow, or we got film tomorrow. We got to clean it up. I want to have a good practice. They're not looking at the next game. They're looking at the next day, the next thing that I have to do. And they all sound the same way. They don't look into the future. Like, hey, we lost this game. We're going to clean it up. We're going to fix those mistakes, and we're going to have a good practice tomorrow. They all say it. They all say it. And that's how they're able to perform on game day, is because they're focused on the here and now. They're very much in the present moment. And that's what I adopted in my life. It's difficult. Look, it's not easy to do this, right? Because you can we all do get ahead of ourselves, but we need to be as present as possible in the here and now and focus on having a great day. Have a great day today. And if you don't beat yourself up over it. It's just one day. You have another opportunity tomorrow, which is, why we always say, play the next play. They say that in the NFL, play the next play. I say to my son all the time, he plays baseball. I said, look, you struck out. You got to go hit the next time. You got to go play in the field. You got to go do the next thing. There's nothing you can do about what just happened. Nothing, except learn from it and move on and go do the next thing. And we as grown-ups, I don't think we do that enough, right? So there's a lot you can learn from professional athletes that are operating at a high level, and looking at, all of a sudden, if you have 5, 6, 7 days stacked good together, you've got a lot of momentum, and you can really start moving the needle in your life and getting closer and closer to that life vision. So stack a bunch of good days together, focus on the here and now, and be present. All right, the last step, this is probably the most difficult, was I established for my life vision a very realistic timeline, okay? And we all want immediate results. Delayed gratification is a very difficult thing to accept, but you have to give yourself a realistic timeline, okay? If you want your ideal life, like if you've really scripted it out and it's this dream that you have, you can't expect that to happen in a year or 2 years or even 3. Like, for your ideal life vision, you need to give yourself 10 years. And that took a long time for me to accept, because we live in a world where we can get anything we want pretty much immediately because of the internet. And it's difficult to look out into the future of your life and think, wow, that's a long time to wait. And I'm telling you, my life has been drastically changed the last 3 to 4 years. And it feels like it happened. It feels like just yesterday. So time is, I talk to people about this all the time. Time seems a lot longer than it is when you're, especially because you have the ability to go back, right? So it can feel very, very slow, but in reality, it's happening very fast. So I would just encourage you to, when you say, oh, 10 years is a long time. Well, no, it isn't. It's not. You can remember what happened 10 years ago. You can remember what happened 20 years ago or 30, if you're that old. I can go back to my childhood right then and there. It's like, wow, that doesn't seem, I can't believe it's been that long. So think about that with your ideal life vision, is give yourself a realistic time frame so you won't be super disappointed when, oh man, I didn't hit my goal. I didn't get to my goal in 2 years, right? Set those goals, set those targets. You want to have a yearly goal. You want to have a 3 to 5 year plan as well. But then you want your ideal life plan. Like, what does it look like for you 10, 15, 20 years down the road? And I'm telling you, the most successful people do that. And then you'll have those steps along the way. Now, if your 10-year life vision, you're going to have a 3 to 5 year plan, and you're going to have a yearly plan as well. And you do need to plan, but give yourself a realistic time frame. That's super important, because I don't want you to be disappointed if you don't get to your goal. So those are the 5 things that I did. There's so many more, and I'll continue to talk about those on this show. You can change your life. You have the ability to make drastic changes in your life if you can implement those 5 things that I did, even a few of them. I mean, because it didn't all happen like right at the same time, right? It takes a while to get there. Again, this is a 3 to 4 year period I'm talking about here. So start with step 1, which is just to surrender to the fact that you do not know everything and that you need help. All right. And then evaluate that, like let that sit for a bit. And then you can move on to step 2. I will list the steps in the show notes so that you have them and you can refer back to them. And I really hope this is helpful. I just wanted to share these thoughts with you and my journey. I appreciate you tuning in every week. And if you find the show valuable, please share it with somebody. I hope you have an amazing day.